Welcome to the Pride to Detroit PODcast, PrideToDetroit.com, Pride to Detroit on Twitter, Pride to Detroit on Facebook. You know where to find us. I haven't updated this all, even though it's no longer Twitter. Probably in like several years since it's been renamed, but nevertheless, we soldier on. It is the Pride to Detroit PODcast. On this episode, we're going to be talking about some of the new rules the Lions have brought to the table for the NFL committee, more news about free agency, and play some free agency superlatives. One of our favorite games to do because right now, tain't much going on around the NFL except for waiting for old Raj to shit and get off the pot. And I apologize for just swearing right there. I am Chris Perfett, the adequate host at Chris Perfett on X, at Perfett on Blue Sky, coming to you as always from sweet sunny California as we get ready for more Lions talk. Joining me as always, Ryan. Wow. Almost did it backwards. You know what? Let's do it backwards. Ryan Matthews. At Ryan_POD. Hi, Ryan.
Well, this is what happens when you're on a midweek podcast. Eventually, you lose billing, so you're down another rung.
You start to lose the vibes a little bit. This might also be because we're on a pitch clock to get all of this and our scraps done before Michigan State basketball tips off here in about an hour and a half.
Well, I mean, the guy you're going to kick it to, he's finally paying attention to college basketball because the season has started.
What do you mean? His team already played. Jeremy Reisman, the fearless leader at Detroit Online.
Sorry, it's March, so college basketball has begun. So, yeah, I'm excited to see it. It's slow start for Michigan at the beginning of the month.
Week of March.
They're on a tear right now. They've won, I don't know, 5 straight tournament games or something?
Sure. Yeah.
They seem like a good basketball team. I'm excited about it.
We're going to build the evidence to that. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I don't even know where to go with that. Like his ignorance on a sport is just astounding sometimes.
I like Nick the Greek's comment. Rule proposals in cornerback depth, or like, let's just get talking about fast food already.
Yeah. Well, if you listen to our scraps later on, I do want to talk about someone's dinner menu. But no, we are going to talk.
We're really selling this week's show, guys. There's nothing going on. Cornerback
These are cool. This is cool. I want to talk about the rules the Lions proposed to the owners' meetings. I've heard everyone else's take except for ours. And I wanted to have our takes on it.
Great.
What do you want to start with, Jeremy? Would you rather start with you want to start with the spicier one, the one that's got everyone talking instead of the one that's actually cool and good?
I mean, you know which one I want to talk about. It's the rule change that I've been clamoring for the better part of a decade.
I know you do. And just to punish you, I'm going to start with the spicy one.
Oh,
instead.
Wait. They proposed to ban the flea flicker?
Change in playoff seeding. So the Lions proposed this, and I really have to wonder if this was a gimme to the Minnesota Vikings. Like, hey, you know what? Your fans might be a giant pain in our ass and everything, but don't worry. We'll put this one in. We'll put this good word in for you as a show of respect. The Lions proposing that the playoff seeding should be changed. Division winners should get playoff games, but no longer guarantee a home game. That seeding should be determined by overall record instead. I believe, potentially with a lower particular win threshold on that. Maybe, but I don't know, Jeremy. I feel like this one is like a lot of people saw this, and I feel like this is what got a lot of people talking because on its surface, it seems more equitable. But on the other hand, the NFL has always been one selling itself on how damn important winning your division is. And also that, let's be honest, owners are not going to cut their legs off and lose out on that sweet home playoff money.
Yeah, well, I mean, no one loses out on playoff money, right? There's still going to be a home playoff game for a team. You just actually have to earn it instead of just being in a crappy division. Which, I mean, it seems like there's always at least one really crappy division winner that you're like, why are they getting a home playoff game? So I see where this is coming from. Obviously, it's heavily influenced by how the way last season ended with the Lions and the Vikings both going into that final game, either winning the first seed or the fifth seed, which... yeah, it did seem a little unfair. But you're right. Like, there is a sanctity of the division that's kind of on the line here, whereas you still get an auto bid if you win the division, but suddenly winning it has, I mean, like, Ryan, we talked about it before. Like that game was billed. Week 18 game was billed as one of the best, lead ups to a season finale because there was so much on the line, because it was the first seed versus the fifth seed, because the stakes were as high as you could really get for two teams that you already knew were going to make the playoffs. And without that rule, the rule that the Lions are proposing in place, it can stay that way. If you put the Lions rule in place, suddenly it's like, well, this is between the first and the third seed, or first and second maybe. I'm not sure who had the tiebreaker over the Eagles, but obviously a lot less stakes there. So I don't know. Like I see it both ways. I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other. I'm not someone that thinks completely like divisions are still going to matter because they still take up 40% or whatever of your schedule. So I guess I'm a little bit less bothered by that than some, but at the same time, it does take some of the fun stakes away.
I think it makes divisions matter slightly less, not like a ton, but I think the point you just made, Jeremy, I mean, when like 33% of your season, right? 6 games of your season almost, or 33% almost, right? Like that is being eaten up by divisional games. I feel like the divisions should matter. And here's the thing. If that NFC South team, I'm not picking on the NFC South, but like if that NFC South team that wins the division and you have to travel to New Orleans or whatever, you have to travel to Tampa Bay to play that playoff game. Well, if they're a crappy team, they should lose anyways. Like I know like they shouldn't quote unquote be rewarded with a home game, but I don't know. Like I want divisions to continue to matter. And I will say that like at first I was like, hold on, they're really swinging like in the opposite direction of the way that they should be going in, because this is something I think that works really well for the NFL, and other leagues just don't have it figured out. Like the NBA, it doesn't even matter what division you're in. Who cares? Like it feels like an opportunity to just hang a banner.
Sure.
But with hockey, it hasn't really taken root. Like there isn't too much. Baseball is maybe the only other sport in the MLB that you could say like divisions matter, but at the end of the day, like in the NFL, they have it figured out in a way that the other leagues don't, and this diminishes it a little bit, I think, in my opinion, Chris.
Yeah, I don't like the rule. First off, like as much as we can kvetch about the NFC South, like the Houston Texans got to host a home playoff game that would have otherwise gone to probably the Chargers instead if we were following this new season system, and I don't really accept that in my brain. That like, especially for a team like the Texans who didn't get to have a playoff game last year, they win their division this year, and like just to take that away from them feels gross. I also think that this is also one of the very few years where like we're talking about a difference of an appreciable amount of games versus like the Vikings being 14-3 and being a wild card is an aberration. It's not the usual case. There are some teams that will have more wins, but it's usually like 1 or 2 more wins, and you're still going on the road. I think there is something to the fact that divisions in the NFL are smaller, and also your schedule, Ryan, is not just tied to the division games you play, but is tied to where you finish in your division 1 through 4, whether you're playing a first, second, or third or fourth place schedule. And rewarding wildcard teams, like even more than that, will start to diminish. Like, I mean, if you feel comfortable in a wild card enough, it's like, all right, we'll host a game. So why do we want to play a first place schedule next year? Let's just try to drop down to, they'd still be advantage to play a second place schedule instead. It creates some more, I think it creates some weird knock-on effects. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I do like the sanctity of winning a division and being rewarded for winning your division. And I understand the NFC South is constantly the fly in the ointment in this way. But consider that without this division rule, we would never have had Beastquake in Seattle either.
That's true.
7-9 Seahawks team hosting a playoff game, which is gross, but you don't get the crowd going nuts for a Marshawn Lynch run.
Yeah.
That's an unfair argument that one highlight justifies this entire rule.
I mean, a pretty important highlight, because otherwise,
Very
do
important.
we get
But
do we
also-
get the same celebration 20 years later from Jameson Williams? I don't know.
But also too, it's like I'm sorry, like
what is this butterfly effect?
I don't
argument that
like
you're
the 7-9
giving?
winning a division is about as rare as the Minnesota Vikings being 14-3. I understand the NFC South.
It is, but
feels
there's
like
always
this.
one that's to me. You're right that like a 14-3 team being a 5 seed is rare. I would push back on saying that there aren't terrible division winners that don't deserve a home playoff game. Almost every year, I would say it happens.
But we had 3 teams in the NFC this year that were 10-7.
Yeah,
Like 2 divisions like that. Like
correct.
So I don't want to just
a 10-7 team didn't make
division.
the playoffs, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
There were 2 10-7 teams that hosted a playoff game and a 10-7 team that didn't make the playoffs. Tell me how that's fair.
It's not, but win your division. Like this is kind of the meat-headed thing that like I feel like this system works right now is my point. Why tinker with
I don't
that?
think it does. Because I don't think it does. Because I think you're rewarding division winners for winning, I mean, a crappy division. I think the more and more I talk about this, the more and more I would like just seeding based on overall record.
But I feel like you're making an argument for a team not making the playoffs so at 10-7 because a division winner gets ahead of them, and what the rule change has nothing to do with that at all.
Well, no. I'm just saying like the fact that 10-7 is good enough to give you a home playoff game when another 10-7 team didn't even make the playoffs is
Okay.
wild to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the only thing that I think that would be a good benefit from this is that maybe you do see teams playing all the way to week 18 because there's
Right.
more room for change that very last week of the season.
But
Like
also,
if we could have a lower a team, out of our division that could have a better record than us, like, oh, we need to suit up and play week 18 now.
but I feel like I can go the other way, Ryan, because what all were we talking about in week 18 when it was Lions Vikings on Sunday Night Football? That week 18 in 2024 was a nothing burger for nearly every team except the Lions and the Vikings, because what was on the line wasn't just a question of seeding like it would be under this new rule. It wouldn't just be a question of, who are you going to play as hosting a home playoff game? It was, are you going to have a bye week and home playoffs through home court through the playoffs, or do you have to go on the road to play Los Angeles? Or
The
like,
bye,
those
but
stakes
the bye
are
still
huge.
would have been on the line,
Sure.
right?
Mhm.
That's pretty
Yeah.
darn big.
Yeah.
And depending on what the Eagles did, the Eagles didn't play anything. They were 14-2. They didn't care because they were already stuck at the 2 seed. But if they were 14-2, they would have had to fight for the 2 seed. Rams didn't play anybody because they had already won their division at 10-7. They didn't care. Like, of the playoff teams, I think you're right, Ryan. Like, I don't know how many of them rested their starters, but I bet a lot of them would not have if we were going straight record.
Well, we also found out that it didn't matter who got the 1 or the 5 seed in that week.
Yeah.
Also
18
true.
game save.
Yeah,
Fair
yeah,
point.
The Vikings would have been at home and still gotten their ass kicked.
Seeding doesn't matter. Who cares?
Home field doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Everything is ruined. Let's talk about the actual rule that might actually have a chance to get passed, though. What? You
It
don't
won't.
think this has a chance to get passed?
I don't think
Either
two
of
of the
these?
3 lines will get passed, but I remain hopeful that they do.
All right. Well, getting rid of automatic first downs for defensive holding and illegal contact, which I know makes Jeremy jump over the moon enough that I feel like he was the one who grabbed the pen and wrote this down for Sheila. And
Sheila reads my tweets. That's how I interpret this.
Sure, absolutely. The POD to Lions social media team to Sheila Fordham pipeline. Yes. This is I wish this will pass, Jeremy, because damn is it fairly equitable. I heard some people complaining about it, but let me tell you, man, the old head defensive players out there really, really want this to be a rule because this sucks. This is only second in my mind to spot foul DPI as egregious. Why is this in the rule book? You want to know why people always complain like the offense has the advantage? This is a big one of them because if the defense holds, it's an automatic first down. Doesn't matter where they hold on the field.
Yep. That's the exact reason why I don't think it's going to get adopted, is because it helps the defense. And the NFL has come out and said they want more scoring. Like, that is not a secret. That is not something, that's not a conspiracy theory. That is something they have outright said. When they talked about changing the kickoff last year, they said one of the reasons why was because they wanted more scoring. They wanted better field position. They wanted more exciting plays. They wanted more potential touchdowns on kick returns. And so that's why I don't think this will get passed. But my reason why I've been so adamant about that and the pass interference thing is because those are the two opportunities that officials have to change the game in way too strong of ways. They have way too much power on a 3rd and 20 to give the offense. And I'm not claiming anything nefarious here. I don't think they're intentionally doing these things. I don't think, I'm not the NFL scripted guy, but it's a difficult infraction to call. Officials will be the first to tell you that, to call illegal contact, to call defensive holding. It's a very hard rule to enforce, but it also carries one of the biggest penalties, the biggest impacts on game, and that's why I think it needs to be out of the game. If offensive holding doesn't come with, a loss of down, which is essentially the version of it on offense, then I don't see why defensive holding should come with an automatic first down.
Yeah. And I know that some people may be like, oh, would there be more intentional fouls, so to speak? I don't think, not enough for it to be like an actual thing.
No.
I just think that the people who are claiming that, of course the Lions want this because they're a super handsy press man team. Well, I mean, yeah, obviously. Wouldn't you want to benefit from wanting to play your style of football? But it'll never pass because, like Jeremy said, it could only potentially have negative impacts on scoring and on offense. Right. There are no good consequences to this for the offense. So I don't think that this gets passed.
I'm going to be down. Dynamic. I'm going to be down there at the owners' meeting. So I'm okay. I'm planning to barge into the meetings, kick down the door, and hook, chain myself to a radiator and say, we're not leaving until you get rid of this.
Jeremy, radiators haven't been a thing since first off, chain yourself to a radiator. Okay, you know what?
It's certainly not going to be a thing at the Breakers, where the most fancy Florida hotel.
Could I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Would you guys rather see them amend pass interference or do this?
I'd rather amend pass interference.
It's close, but
no sport should have a penalty that could theoretically be 99 yards.
Agreed. No question.
That's get out of here.
It's very close for me because I agree with that. But I do think this is a little bit more common of an issue.
Yeah. I do think it's so incredibly unfair. If a defense gets an offense into a 3rd and 20 situation and then a infraction like this rewards the offense, it's okay, the sport, man.
Right. And that
is straight from God.
That happens on a fairly, I feel like it happened to the Chiefs a couple times in the playoffs, which is why people are like, oh, this whole thing is scripted.
And I think that's why I would rather get rid of that. Not because of the scripted part, but because it's big enough and it's noticeable enough that people see it and it sours people's mood on an offensive drive and writes off everything the offense was doing. It's just, you just got bailed out by the refs.
Oh yeah. God. It was the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Eagles Chiefs. Remember the final play that got the Chiefs into scoring range, right? To kick the field goal.
Yes.
There was a defensive holding penalty that was called in the secondary, but all right, last rule change. Sorry.
No. I want to also talk about with the Packers showing their ass just a little bit too. But anyway, off-season IR players don't count against regular season 90-man roster. I don't really have a big thought on this. I like the idea of more guys on the roster. I still think 53 men is still too few for a regular season roster. But hey, I'll take more in the off-season. Jeremy, if you could explain more of this.
Yeah, it's a weird rule that caused me to learn something new, that there is such a thing as a 90-man regular season roster, which includes the 53-man roster, the 16-man practice squad, and everyone on IR. that number can't exceed 90, which is something I didn't know before. So the Lions are proposing that anyone that gets injured preseason that's out for the year, so like Nate Lynn last year, John Kaminsky last year, who else? There's like Michael Badgley. Those guys don't count. Therefore, you have, a little bit of extra room. Now, I don't think this rule change matters much, because you look back at the Lions last season, and I think at one point they had 18 or 19 guys on IR total, which means they were still at like 87 or 88. And so they had this like historically terrible injury situation, and they still didn't hit the 90-man limit. So I don't think this is going to matter. Maybe they pass it, maybe they don't. I don't have a strong feeling on like, oh, they better do it, or they shouldn't. But it's cool that it led to a new rule that I didn't know about, and also like it's just also very funny that the Lions were a team that got significantly impacted by this rule, or close to this rule.
I mean, all three of these really.
Right.
Because like I had no idea about that either, like in the regular season.
Right.
So
that's why you propose new rules, right? Is because you found something that impacted you, right? But
well, let me ask you on the
it's very
first one,
obvious
then.
in this instance.
Let me ask you on the first one then, because I don't see the first
Sure.
one as really impacting the Lions much, because they end up winning the game.
Right.
Unless the idea would have been like, okay, well, if we were only playing for the second seed, maybe we rested everyone on week 18.
I think, but they were in that scenario where they could have been the fifth seed, and they didn't want that. Like, I don't think this was them throwing the Vikings a bone. It was like, we were close to being in this really crappy situation that we don't think should have.
They might just be looking at the future of the NFC North and being like, oh man, this could be a bloodbath for a little while.
Right.
I got some questions on that, considering what we talked off camera. I don't think it made it into scraps about the Vikings, but
well,
let's talk about the Green real quick.
I just want to say Jeremy brought up, why teams, suggest or propose these rule changes. It's because things that directly impact them.
So you want to talk about the Packers trying to get rid of the tush push?
What cowards, dude?
I hate that. I hate that this actually has a chance to pass, because I feel like enough teams are going to be like, we can't pull this off. This is unfair. Where it's literally just a skill issue.
Are the votes made public?
Sometimes they leak, but not.
Probably not.
They're not officially posted.
If there was any rule proposal I heard with enough juice on it, and hearing old heads bitching and crying and trying to call this like a rugby play. Like, I think that was Bill Cowher's line, was like, this isn't a football play, it's a rugby play. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. Like, maybe, because I know this is like a skill issue, because I've seen the Packers try to pull off a tush push with Kraft, and they can't do it. They can't do it. The Bills tried doing it, Ryan, and they couldn't do it. And it'll go away as soon as the Eagles stop having the personnel to be able to do it.
I hate that the Packers Moses their way into parting the frickin' sea for all these other coward teams to vote and not be outed for voting. Like that's the biggest thing to me, is that like the Packers paved the way for everybody else to like silently approve of this. And I'm with you, Chris. Like, the reason that the Eagles can do it is because they have a guy who can squat 500 plus pounds at quarterback, and then another guy who can, squat 500 plus pounds at running back who can push him. And they had an incredible center, and they've just replaced those guys. Like, it's unique to them. Figure out a way to stop it. I will say that the Commanders trying to stop it on the goal line
was very
in
funny.
that playoff game.
It was very funny.
Was equal parts funny and also just like stupid. Like, okay, I think I do hate this play now, because it's resulting in this happening right now on my television.
Because they have to do exactly that. You have to time it to the second when you can disrupt it. But I've heard some people trying to say like, well, what they should do is they should ban the ability to push like a active ball player. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, then you're going to screw up some of the stuff the Lions did if you do that. Like, every time you
David Montgomery can't
that
get
David
carried,
Montgomery gets pushed by the offensive
10
line,
yards
that's
out.
suddenly going to be illegal.
Dude.
If that, we do that.
How many plays do you see Penei Sewell pushing somebody into an end zone? Like, we've seen it on plenty of times.
Yeah, and that could, like, that's always what I've tried to argue with people over this, because that's the ultimate fallback when you start addressing them. It's like, Well, this isn't. Well, it's a play that gets people injured. Nobody's been injured running the play. Well, it's a rugby play. Who cares? Football descended from rugby, basically. It shares the same damn DNA. Like, well, just all this other stuff, and then they finally get to, well, okay, why don't we just? It's fine, but it's the pushing the ball carrier is a little much. Let's get rid of that part. Okay, cool. You're going to destroy so many other times where the running back gets pushed by an offensive lineman for a first down.
Yeah.
Do we really want that? Because we always see that in games all the time where like a guy gets stopped, but he's still on his feet, and the whole entire team's come in to just try to push the pile.
Yeah, I actually don't think it's going to get passed. I'd be surprised if it does get passed. I don't have any inside sources or anything like that, but to me, I think most people, NFL coaches are like, hey, this is football. Like they like the physicality of it. They like the rugbiness of it. They like winning in the trenches and things like that. Like I'd be shocked if the Lions voted again for the getting rid of the tush push. Me personally, my only bugaboo with it is that it's boring, and I don't like that a team can like automatically convert a 3rd and 1, but they've earned that right. They've earned the right to run a boring. Football doesn't always have to be exciting. It doesn't always have to be about trick plays and skill. Sometimes it's just about brute force, and they've earned the right. They found a play that works for them and only them. Like that is the holy grail of strategy. And sure. To just say no, you can't do that. That's illegal. That's Bush League.
I mean, if we were just banning plays because we just hated them, I'd have the bubble screen outlawed, and you destroy anything that looks even remotely like a flea flicker. Just because we don't like certain plays doesn't mean that get rid of them.
I'll let other teams run flea flickers all day. You wanna burn it down? Go for it.
We got a couple minutes to do some more talk about free agency before we go to break. Some DL signings, mostly just re-signing their own. Mitchell Agudi with a new contract, Pat O'Connor, Al-Qadim Muhammad. Are you okay with the strategy at defensive line right now? So they've basically re-signed a total of 8 D linemen.
I don't love it. I mean, I'm not here saying they needed to go out there and sign, fill in the blank top tier guy necessarily.
That's for next segment.
That's maybe that's for next segment. But I think the defensive line as is, and obviously there's still free agents left and still some bodies left that they could sign. They might not be done. But I think you look at the status of your edge. You have Aiden Hutchinson. I have no questions about him coming back from injury, to be quite honest. I think he's going to be fine. But on the other side, your kind of presumed starter right now is Marcus Davenport, who hasn't put together a 10-game season in a few years now. Your next guy up is Josh Paschal, who doesn't rush the passer particularly well, but is okay as a run defender. Then you've got, Al-Qadim Muhammad, who, had some flashes, but as a pass rusher is decent depth, but like not much back there. And then interior, you're probably not going to start the year with Aleem McNeil. So you've got DJ Reader, Levi, which I think is a more significant than re-signing than maybe some are giving it credit for. You've got Lopez now as your backup nose, which is good. Reserve nose, but like, who's rushing the passer? Who's rushing the passer? And what happens if any of those guys gets injured? Then the depth doesn't seem good. The starters don't look particularly good for me. It's not a terrible situation because when everyone's healthy, you do have one of the best interior guys and one of the best edge defenders in football. But it feels like you're top heavy, and I'd like another experienced body in there.
It doesn't elicit a ton of confidence, but I wonder how much a healthy Derek Barnes season in 2024 would have changed our perspective of that. Like, I just wonder what plans they had for him being a pass rusher last year that we didn't get to see, because they gave him a contract, I think, to be a guy who can get after the quarterback a little bit.
Yeah, it does instill confidence in us. Righteous Felon, craft jerky, and meat sticks.
Okay.
What?
It was all right.
I'm doing my best here.
Yeah.
I'm taking away my meat from you. You don't get this righteous craft jerky. There he goes. Yeah. I try my best to put meat on the table every night. every damn night from Righteous Felon because it's jerky that fuels the POD cast. 2-ounce bags of jerky with 16 to 20 grams of protein, each stick with 8 grams. If it's good enough for us, it'll be good enough for you too, because Righteous Felon is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania, using locally sourced all-natural black Angus beef. They pride themselves in superior quality, revolutionary branding, and unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. RighteousFelon.com. Use the promo code POD15 at checkout, POD15 at RighteousFelon.com. 15% off your order. Juicy, juicy meat. When we come back on the POD cast, superlatives time. I just banished Ryan. He'll have to come back so we can play superlatives, one of our favorite games we love to do in the off season. And that's next.
Did you say superlatives?
Hi, chat.
What's up, everybody?
I know we got just an hour before Michigan State tips off, so
let me get to alerts real quick here. No interrupting. We'll get through them quick. All right, here we go. Zero Slub, thank you for the 16 months. Throws Pride of Campbell in the chat. Tiny Bob, thank you for the first time subscription using your Twitch Prime, which is always a good reminder. If you have Amazon Prime, you can create a free Twitch account if you haven't already. Jump over to our Twitch account or Twitch stream. Link your Amazon Prime to your Twitch account in the settings. Super easy. And you can subscribe to any Twitch stream once a month for free. It supports us in the same way a regular sub does. Costs you absolutely nothing. So it's a way to show your support to us without costing you a dime. But it does not automatically renew. So if you've done it before, it doesn't automatically renew every month. So go ahead and do it again. All right. Nick the Greek, 100 bits, says rule proposal and cornerback depth. Time to start talking about fast food, guys. Oh, we'll get to it. Because I got beef with Taco Bell, too. That's one thing I want to talk about.
That we haven't covered already?
I don't think I've talked about it on the show. I may have talked about it with
this. I like this.
Karen, they give it 31 months. Says go blue. Go blue. Liam, 5 gifted subs. I feel like we never get gifted subs anymore, which is not a complaint. We're appreciative of all the subs we get and all the support we get, but appreciate that, Liam. Thank you for the 5 gifties. Nick the Greek, another 100 bits, says choice of topics, list of remaining free agents we know Brad won't sign, or Jamocha Shake versus Shamrock Shake.
Jamocha Shake all day.
I've never had a Shamrock Shake. Is it still out? Maybe I'll get one.
I think you're a week late.
I'm trying to get you to go through alerts
and
not be blamed.
Fair enough. 4 Lions Force, 53 months subscribed to the channel. Nick the Greek, another 100 bits, says how many of you eaten at a Zaxby's and what does it compare to? What does a special sauce at Raising Cane's taste like? Is there really a secret menu at In-N-Out Burger?
Right,
in reverse order, yes, there is a secret menu at In-N-Out Burger. Special sauce at Raising Cane's is, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe
ketchup. It's like ketchup plus ranch.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. I've never been to Zaxby's.
I've been to Zaxby's. You're going to compare it basically to something between Raising Cane's and Chick-fil-A. It's a chicken tender place. I would say unlike Raising Cane's, their menu, they do more with the chicken tenders. You can get it on like a Texas toast sandwich as like a melt. They have a lot of good salads with chicken fingers in it. And best of all, birthday cake milkshake.
God, that's dangerous.
Yeah. I actually like it because they have a pretty good like buffalo chicken salad there. Like, you know.
I do like buffalo chicken everything.
Rise the Beast salads and they're fast and they're through a drive-through. What can you say?
Rise the Beast, $5 super chat on YouTube says, "Hey guys, good job as always, Jeremy. I enjoyed the last midweek mailbag. Keep it up, guys." I'm not going to say how he spelled midweek mailbag because it's not important. RGA 29 months says, "Swift 32 days until the draft." Swift, huh? Not Brian Branch.
I had to spend so much of my time trying to talk myself into DeAndre Swift.
How long did it take you to talk you out of DeAndre Swift?
After Deuce Staley's comments about playing hurt versus playing injured.
I felt like Deuce had turned me pretty hard against Swift myself too.
He didn't mince words. Another 100 bits from Nick the Greek says, if you're not going to talk fast food, I think we need 10 minutes of Chris sharing details about a recent esoteric interest. Bonus points if it's video game that has either been based on a manga or turned into an animated series.
It's usually manga that gets turned into an animated series. I'm not going to talk about Tower Dungeon on here. Thank you very much. Let's go.
Have you realized how like Nick the Greek is just like paying to bully us and have
Yes.
you read the bullying?
That's what Twitch is. Twitch chat is they're just a bunch of bullies.
Yeah. By the way,
Nick
for
the Greek
for Nick's consumption, I know it's been a couple weeks, but Tiki Tuesday is coming back on this Tuesday on no decaf. So that one has a text to speech when he gives 100 bits, so he can harass me even more there.
As we found out during the midweek mailbag, which I had forgotten, that if you just donate to the stream, not on Twitch, not bits or
It has text to speech.
It has text to speech, and the alert is way louder too, which I had not realized.
Fix that, yeah. Anyway,
Dasgib 41 months subscribed to the channel. Nick the Greek another 100 bits says Jeremy stopped sharing his Bumble messages. But I guarantee you there's an appetite for at least 20 minutes of Jeremy's love life in the iPhone age. No.
There's one more 100 bits from Nick the Greek. Please just.
There you go. One more 100 bits says you could also set aside 5 minutes where Ryan complains about having to be responsible. Dang.
Takes a lot.
Robo 40 months subscribed to the channel says Brad Holmes is king. Hopefully he trades up like Jeremy wants. How dare you? Line Blood 44 months subscribed to the channel. Justin Sane 36 says that's 4 babies. True. Dullhorn Unicorn, thank you for the follow. And Jason Arnick 8 months subscribed to the channel. And we are through alerts.
Hell yeah.
We made it.
So,
Go ahead. Oh, wait, hold on.
no.
$2 from Rise of the Beast on YouTube says, I will keep this up until the flea flicker video. Yeah, we do have to have a flea flicker. We do have to, I think once we get it, I think probably once we get through the draft, then we'll start digging into our Movember rewards. We might dig into one before then.
I'm in the process of cleaning up my kitchen right now and trying to figure out where I'm going to set up stuff. I do know I am like a year plus behind on the cooking stream. It's going to happen. I got some pretty good recipes now.
I got some overalls. I gotta get
mine.
I got my pants, my yoga pants. I still owe you guys a JMO milkshake, and in a day of eating like an offensive lineman. And
that reminds me. I have to ship something back to you. I've completely forgotten about it.
Did you sign the card, Ryan? Did that happen ever?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Anyways. Yeah, and Ryan has to eat a cereal of
jelly,
beans.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think about it all the time, and I'm just like, I don't want to swallow any of it. So if I do swallow it, I'm gonna stick my finger down my throat because, like, I feel like I'd have such a bellyache from like so much sugar.
Probably.
Yeah. Probably.
You probably should have thought about that before you agreed to do it.
Speaking of bellyaches.
Sorry for trying to raise money for charity.
Sorry for complaining about being having to be responsible again.
Responsible, yeah.
Sorry for trying to raise money for charity. Sorry.
To cure cancer.
Sorry to drive donations. I'm sorry.
To lie to them and not actually do it?
I guess I should be less charitable.
Well, that'd fit in with America, wouldn't it?
What can I write on my forehead to make up for it?
So I know we like talking about food during the break. I've got a beef with Scotty Scheffler.
What's your beef with a PGA golfer?
I was going to say, so you know how, I mean, I guess Jeremy didn't know this and I had informed about it, but Ryan, do you know that when you win the Masters, you basically get to set the menu for the Masters Club dinner for basically you and all of the former Masters champions at Augusta leading up to the Masters?
Yes. Familiar with this tradition.
Yes. It's a time-honored tradition. Scotty Scheffler's menu did come out. I sent it to both of you. I have a particular problem with this type of menu. And let me try to let me try to go through it, cuz like on the surface I shouldn't be mad about it, but this is just me having an esoteric madness. So for the appetizers we have Papa Chef's meatball and ravioli bites, cheeseburger sliders, and firecracker shrimp. You know, sweet Thai chili and sriracha mayo shrimp. Sure.
What does serve Scotty style mean
I have
for
no
the
goddamn clue.
cheeseburgers?
I have no goddamn clue. Do not
Okay.
ask me that.
Okay.
I'm going to assume they've got some extra fixins on it. First course, Texas style chili with cheddar cheese, jalapenos, and corn chips. Main course, choice of wood-fired cowboy ribeye. I don't know what makes it the ribeye cowboy, or blackened redfish. Family-style macaroni and cheese, jalapeno creamed corn, soy-glazed Brussels sprouts, and chipotle lime roasted sweet potatoes. Dessert is warm chocolate chip skillet cookie with vanilla bean ice cream. Okay. A, and this is probably actually the bigger violation. This is the exact same menu Scotty served 2 years ago when he won the Masters back then, too. No variation whatsoever. Is that a violation, Ryan, or is it fine to reserve the same menu?
I could see how one would interpret that as maybe being a little bit lazy, less imaginative. I'm just reading this menu and thinking, dear God, what havoc did they wreak on the septic system at the Masters when this happens?
This is my other problem with it. That menu I just read you is literally every quote-unquote American bistro-style gastropub that is open and closed within your city. Yes, you at home, no matter where you live in this country, every damn city in America has had a gastropub with this menu that is open and closed within 5 years. I am so tired of this menu of cheeseburger sliders, firecracker shrimp, ribeye. Like, this is every menu.
Yeah, I mean, totally spot on, for sure. The guy's a golfer, though. Like, he's not a curator. You know what I mean?
But like, I've seen some of the past menus that have come up. Like, there's been some esoteric stuff in there.
But I guess what I'm saying is that, like, I think Scotty actually did this. Like, I would want to, like, actually quiz the people who claim that they maybe came up with, like, a nice, tasteful master his club dinner and be like, did you actually do it, or did you have, like, somebody you know do it? This looks like Scotty Scheffler is like, here are all the things I really like, turn it into a menu.
Like, John Rahm had, like, completely, like, and I know this is, he's what, Spanish?
Yeah.
I know his was like, what does he have? Ensalada, and like he had like a full like Heartland Spanish menu and everything and stuff. But like, this is just, I'm sorry, man.
You're right.
Trying to find one of Tiger's menu.
You're right that this menu is very much an American bistro thing, but I'm sorry, it's all of the best things off that menu. I would eat every single one of these things and be content. I love steak. I love shrimp. I love sliders. I love skillet cookies. I feel like you're complaining just to complain here. Would you not enjoy this menu?
No, I would not. No, I would not. I'm tired of all of these things. You know what I would have loved is like Tiger Woods' menu when he won it in 2020. You know, he had his own Augusta roll. He made his own sushi roll. And he had a main course of either prime steak or chicken fajitas. And trios of desserts with churros in there. Like, that's the kind of stuff I want.
You don't think churros are overplayed at this point?
No.
Maybe it's because I lived in LA, but churros seem to have already had their moment, in my opinion.
I don't know. I also feel like this is a little just lowbrow for... I understand this is like Texas, but this also feels a little lowbrow for the Masters in Augusta National.
Damn. Like...
what, you need caviar and... What do you need for Augusta?
One thing that's French.
It's in Georgia.
Can I tell you that this is maybe the most off-brand Chris Slam that I've heard in recent time?
This is me trying out some sort of hot take to put on Fox Sports Radio. I'm not gonna lie.
You can't.
This is audition tape? You're using Pride of Detroit scraps
No,
for audition
no,
tape?
I'm not because I already made this take on the air on Sunday before I left.
You can't. At 1 minute be championing Tommy DeVito and then be slamming New Jersey's own, the very Italian Scotty Scheffler from New Jersey, Chris. Like,
well,
this
that's
is very
thing.
off-brand
I was going
for
to
you.
say, hold on.
Like, I expect this from him.
But hold on, because that's a Southern menu, and he said this is roots to, Texas. So don't be throwing New Jersey at me.
So
that's just where he lives now, though.
Is chili and steak and not Texas enough for you?
No, I just the sliders are just like
the sliders.
Okay, the sliders are the worst thing on the menu. I agree.
It's funny though. You slap mozzarella sticks in here, and Jeremy would have an entirely different opinion. On the menu.
Absolutely. I think John Daly actually put out his menu if he would ever have a Masters dinner, Ryan, and it's always very man. He included a Hooters dish on there, which R.I.P.
You and Devin Booker, the two saddest people to be losing Hooters.
I don't care about Hooters. I'm just saying John Daly probably cares. That's his son getting NIL money.
Have you seen Devin Booker though? He loves Hooters.
That tracks. That actually tracks.
Do you want to move to your second topic to talk about, or do you want me to jump in here?
Well,
with my
while we're on
topic?
food, let's just do. While we're on food, let's do Taco Bell before I get to someone trying to take over a small town in Long Island, and how it relates to food. Also,
listen, I have been a proponent of the Taco Bell app well before I think it even gained a modicum of popularity. Their online exclusive box that was $5. Not more than 2 years ago, was arguably the best value of any of the fast food places ever in existence. I mean, not ever. I mean, you could get hamburger for 75 cents. What? Not that.
In the tacos from Jack in the Box for $1.
Right. But in this box, you could get a Crunchwrap, a regular taco, some side, whether it was chips and cheese, cinnamon twists, whatever, and a drink for $5. To put that in perspective, a Crunchwrap on the solo menu was like $4. So you're getting 3 additional items. When they moved it to $6, I said nothing.
How about that?
Matt Patrick
When they
is
took it
ample
completely
bosom.
off the menu, you did what? Deleted it?
It is
when
it
it
is
moved to $6, I said nothing because I had $6.
because I had $6. It is no longer available at all. There is not a Crunchwrap Supreme box at all. And now Taco Bell is worthless to me. I will not go until it's back in a box.
Yeah, as Alien Vivitor points out, $5 footlong from Subway, $5 Build-A-Box from Taco Bell. It's been like 20 years since the $5 footlong, though. $5 hot and ready, all gone. Look what they took from you.
It's terrible.
They took my Batman-shaped pizza from me.
Not even actually better than the $5 hot and ready. I don't know when they stopped doing it, Ryan. Do you remember the $5 lunch combo from Little Caesars?
Oh yeah,
the
you
deep
get
dish combo,
a little mini deep dish pizza.
It wasn't mini. It was 4 slices of a deep dish pizza.
Yeah,
it was and a 20-ounce soft drink. Like it was insane.
The $5 box does still exist at Taco Bell, but your main entree is a 5-layer burrito, which is it's tiny and it just sinks to the bottom of your stomach immediately. It's not tasty.
Yeah.
It's 500 calories.
I was going to say, also to your point, though, with that box, it wasn't like you said, so the side item, because you'd go Crunchwrap, and then for side item, you said taco, but like we agreed that like obviously like taco's the route you go, but like you could get a burrito.
Yeah, you could get the 5-layer burrito. That used to be the side dish. In the $5 box, it's now the main item.
Right.
They have something called a Supreme Lux. Like they're calling it Lux boxes now.
I know.
I don't know.
Lux box. Yeah.
Like Deluxe, I imagine is where it
it's
comes
like how
from.
we got the word Riz.
It's terrible. I hate the word Lux. It's not, doesn't mean anything. But there's a Supreme Lux box that your only option are chalupas, and I don't like chalupas. It's too much fried stuff.
Speaking of,
I just hate it. And then at least give me the option to pay $9 for a Crunchwrap box.
just give at least dignity of the option.
Oh, you know what? There actually is. I lied.
Oh, wow!
And it's $6.79. I swear it wasn't there the entire time. But
So the argument is over 79 cents now. Okay, now you know who you really share DNA with now. Rob Parker, who once stormed out of a Pollo Loco
It
over
wasn't
a
there
10-cent
before.
increase on a soda.
there is a build your own Lux box that has a Crunchwrap for $6.79. I retract my entire take.
Wow. Ryan, I think I might have, like, sitting around the car the other day, speaking of Gen Z brain rot, realized where the word gat came from. I don't like it. I don't like how my brain works.
Yeah. I'm getting older. I'm noticing it.
At least it's not the Gen X nostalgia that's going around about garden hoses.
No, but for a while there, like right pre-COVID, and then like, I don't think when we came back so much, but like pre-COVID, like everybody was just like into the 90s. And I was like, oh, well, I get where you're trying to resurrect a lot of things, but like now it's just, all right, I'm done being Abe Simpson. What are we doing right now?
Hold on. Before we get into what Chris wants to talk about, we did get a couple more alerts, including a direct donation that got a text to speech that we kind of talked a little bit over. But RGA donated $5 and said, "Matt Patricia's ample bosoms."
Nice.
Caitlin Rose
That almost pays for an entire Lux box.
That's right. If I throw in Rise Beast $2, there we go. I know
You're there. Who cares about the 79 cents? Covered.
Caitlin Rose, thank you for the 18-month subscribe. And Nick the Greek with 1 bit, which usually means I don't read it. So I'm not going to read it because it also has a person's name in it that might spur discussion that I don't want discussion spurred. So I will let you take over, Chris.
Well, speaking of spurring on interesting political discussions and
Great.
food,
You don't
either
have to
of you guys both know what pirate's booty is, right?
Sure. Yes. Little
Yeah.
puff snack
Food
thing.
Yeah, it's like popcorn and cheese
Cheetos.
puffs and
Healthy cheesy puffs.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. This story involves the founder of that company apparently attempting insurrection to take over a little village of Seacliff on Long Island. I love this story. This might have been the best thing I saw, and I'm going to try to do a little bit of something I call reading here from Huffington.
Tell me what this insurrection looks like and how spectacularly it
very
failed, I
sad.
imagine.
Very sad. It looks very sad. At 9:44 on the morning of Monday, March 10th, Robert Ehrlich, the snack magnate behind Pirate's Booty, stormed into the city offices of Seacliff, New York, and falsely proclaimed himself mayor. According to a statement provided by the village, Ehrlich proceeded to demand office space and declare the entire staff had been fired effectively immediately, with the caveat that they could all reapply for their jobs at a later date. The Cheese Puff King, who had 3 supporters with him, cited a 2009 New York law called the Citizens Empowerment Act as a basis for his claim. The law empowered citizens to dissolve or reformulate their town if they got the backing of at least 10% of the town's voters. Under the law, Ehrlich said he was the mayor of a new village called the Incorporated Village of Seacliff Residents and claimed to have an envelope with 1,800 signatures, but no one was allowed to see them because the signatories were afraid of retribution. I'm interpreting the law any way I want, the way Trump would interpret laws as he sees fit, the businessman told the Seacliff Glen Head Herald, apparently without irony. It's called trickle-down politics, which is what we're doing. He also compared his actions to someone invading another country, but in a good way or something. When someone takes Austria or Ukraine, they don't go and ask for permission, they just do it, he told the paper. I'm asserting my right to have a free, open life and have transparency. Town officials told Ehrlich his claims lacked even a kernel of truth. Police escorted the snack man and his 3 backers from the building after an hour of, quote, escalating hostility. While village staff remained calm and professional throughout the incident, Ehrlich and his associates raised their voices, used profane language, made outlandish claims, and engaged in direct harassment of village personnel, the city said. Despite multiple requests to leave, they refused, creating a hostile and disruptive environment that required police intervention. Undeterred, Ehrlich embarked on a write-in campaign to unseat the incumbent mayor, Elena Villafance, in an election held this Tuesday. Ehrlich proclaimed himself the victor 30 minutes after the polls opened, according to the New York Post. A final ballot count, however, showed just 62 votes in his favor and 1,064 for the incumbent. He told the Post in a follow-up interview that voter suppression is to blame for his loss and compared himself to Anne Frank.
Oh, Lord. Wow.
This is the most mad I've seen someone all week.
I imagine if he put that kind of energy into making any sort of flavor for his crappy little snack.
Wow, are you hating on Pirate's Booty?
Yeah.
Do you not like the base one, or like what? Wait, hold on. That stuff is decent. What's wrong with it?
It's
cheese puffs.
It's cheese puffs minus the flavor. It's what's the name of like the sparkling water that everyone loves?
LaCroix?
Yeah, it's the LaCroix of snacks. It's an opportunity to snack on something and pretend you're healthy, but really you're just lacking flavor.
Do you just not like white cheddar?
No, I love white cheddar popcorn.
Yeah, it has great flavor. I don't know where this is coming from. I've only had it once, but I remember it being decent.
Maybe you remember wrong.
Maybe you remember wrong.
I've been lied to. Maybe remember wrong.
I mean, why in the world would you ever buy Pirate's Booty when Righteous Felon exists?
That is true.
Protein.
That's a protein
flavor.
snack.
I mean,
man,
way more flavors than Pirate Booty offers.
Is this the new live read? Should I have done this for the Righteous Felon live read? Is just read this story before talking about Righteous Felon craft jerky and meat sticks? I hope they don't try to take over Westchester, Pennsylvania anytime soon.
If I'm gonna spend my money on anything extra, it'd be like Saratoga water and bananas. And
I just prefer my snack food Insurrection free. That's all.
Did you see the guy?
And Righteous Felon can say they're 100% Insurrection free.
Well, I hope that doesn't date by then. Speaking of Saratoga water, did you see the guy who, we ever get these videos every now and then, guys showing you how hard they hustle.
Yeah.
Did you see the video, Ryan, of the guy who gets up at like 4 a.m. and has like the ice bath thing? Is that why you're saying Saratoga water?
And bananas, yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Did you?
I'm not sure what kind of person eats their bananas. Like he eats his bananas.
Did he cut them into slices?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is weird.
I love, by the way, this man's trying to show how he's like a brain wizard of time management and everything, and it takes him 5 fucking hours of being awake and he can't cook himself breakfast.
Listen, as part of
it's like
I love getting up at 5 in the
shoes?
morning and being productive at 5 in the morning. Those videos are still absolutely ridiculous.
No, I'm up at 5 a.m. every day now too, because I have a job. Versus whatever he does, which is sit on a PC and talk about sales.
Very fake conversation. You got to get me 1,000 of these by 5 a.m. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Content creation is so dumb.
By the way,
and
there's
I
very many.
Realize we're in the midst of content creation as we speak, but it's so dumb.
This one at least has some substance in something that and don't call this content. We are doing sports talk.
Sports talk.
I am not going to pretend like I'm better than these people. I'm sorry. We just got done talking about Pirate's Booty and Taco Bell value menus. I cannot claim a high ground here.
I will say, as a last note before we get back into it, speaking of this stuff, this is why I love, there's not many good accounts left on Twitter/X anymore, but this is why I love @VC Brags. VCs congratulating themselves. probably one of my favorite accounts there. If you want to see some people who really are up their own ass, and especially people from LinkedIn who are just a completely different type of savage, follow VC Brags.
Oh boy.
Ryan, have you seen? We're not going to spoil anything, but I'm just curious if you've seen the Severance finale yet.
Yeah, I watched it last night.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, I gotta talk. Here's the thing: I was pretty surprised that like I was able to go that long without seeing any spoilers.
Yeah, I tried.
But
to
I've
do
kind
my
of like
best
been
not to-
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I had growing skepticism of the show since episode 8. Episode 9 was just kind of meh to me. Ryan, that is the most fun I've ever had watching Severance.
Oh.
That was an extremely fun episode. It may not have like accomplished everything that some people wanted accomplished,
Sure.
but it was very fun.
I think that's an interesting take that I hadn't heard from anybody yet. Like, you're not saying it's like the best episode or it's, X, Y, or Z. Like, it was a lot of fun.
I had a
will say that
smile
it was
on
a lot
my
of fun.
face the entire time. It was the funniest episode of Severance. And there were like really great moments too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've come a long way since episode 8. And I felt like I was like
Yes.
unfairly critical of episode 9 because of 8.
Yeah.
Like I was like ready to like just slam the show. And I do think that whatever. But yeah, last night definitely redeemed. And now I'm like, oh, great. All right.
Okay.
Season 3 is how far away?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Whew. I was afraid
Man.
you weren't going to like it.
No.
Well,
I think
fuck.
had I not heard that Hacks was coming back, maybe I would have judged it a little more unfairly. But now that I know that Hacks is coming back for another season, and
Hacks, the rehearsal, and The Last of Us all in April.
I've just been
I got some real
cruising through Search
reservations
Party.
about this next part of Last of Us.
Yeah, I hear people did not like part 2, the storyline of the second game.
Well, I was going to say, I think so. From what I understand, it's like part 1 is very much so you can make a TV show or a movie. It's got a 1, 2, 3 act structure that is made for, this was clearly made in mind to make a TV show out of. Part 2 is going to be a little more dicey to translate into television. And given some of the creators behind this, I have doubts. To be honest, like, I'm not even sure why they jumped so fast into part 2, rather than trying to milk a season out of something in between, or trying to make some side stuff, which, like, I don't know. I know I'm coming from the animated side, but, like, they did that with Castlevania.
They
Like,
did it
you
with
know,
the Batman.
They did. Yeah, like, they... But I mean, like, if you're going to go to games, sometimes you have to come up with new stuff that's like not just doing the game itself sometimes. So I don't know. I've got
see.
questions. By the way,
shall
Ryan,
see.
is it very odd? I keep seeing trailers for the Minecraft movie, and I have no clue on earth why they decided to make a Minecraft movie for adults.
Is it for adults?
I don't know if it's for adults, but it's definitely got like a really old Jack Black in it and a bunch of people playing like definitely a lot of adults. It seems like it's going to be like we're going to try to do an all ages comedy, but you're following along adults. Whereas I feel like if you're trying to get the audience who actually wants to watch a Minecraft movie, you're going to make something a little more cartoony, more for kids.
I think Jack Black's
I
pretty
think
for
that's
kids,
in Jack
isn't he?
Black's range. Yeah.
Yeah, but not when he's got a giant white beard.
I mean, even more so. I mean,
That's
I
beardism.
know.
What are you talking about?
He's got like black and white across his beard. Like it's very.
I was gonna say I know an older gentleman, big like Jack Black, also has a grayish, whitish beard, and kids are super into him. So it's Santa Claus, everybody. Santa Claus.
I know
Give it
what
up
you're
for
trying
Santa
to do.
Claus.
He does not look like Santa Claus.
What? I think Jack
I know,
Black
but
could
they're
pass
doing
as
this
Santa
thing
Claus.
again where it's like, ooh, video games in real life. Haha, isn't that cool?
Yeah, yeah. I don't like.
I don't know.
My kids are excited to see it. So
Maybe. I just felt like just feels like a bit of a mismatch. I don't know.
Is Aquaman in it?
Momoa?
Yeah. Is he in it?
Great question.
I thought I saw him in the trailer. It was either him or a Hemsworth.
All those superhero
yeah,
guys look
Momoa's
alike.
in it. Momoa's in it, yeah. Jennifer Coolidge is in it too. As if she hasn't tortured
Awesome.
your televisions enough.
What? No. Don't be mean to Jennifer Coolidge.
Only because of the
Is
the
this my double
credit
pump,
card
double whip,
commercial.
double sleeve?
She was awesome in White Lotus, which, by the way, White Lotus right now is fantastic. So.
Is it?
I've heard a lot
I
of
haven't
good stuff
decided
about
whether
White
I was going to
Lotus.
watch season 3 or not.
Oh yeah, dude, more Walton Goggins on my TV, please.
Yeah.
Like,
do you
I'm
watch?
all the way in.
Do you watch The Righteous Gemstones?
I do.
Okay.
Like, I love me some Baby Billy.
Yeah.
And like
Baby
the
Billy
ghoul
Bible Bongers.
in Fallout.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic in Fallout. But yeah, we're 2-3 up. I think tonight is the 3rd episode of the final season of Righteous Gemstones.
That's a show I have to catch up on. I'm about to get a Max subscription back again. I had it lapse, but I need to catch up on Celtic City and I need to catch up on Righteous Gemstones.
We are living in a Walter Goggins paradise. Walter Goggins and the Last of Us guy. What's his name?
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal.
Well,
like those guys can run Hollywood right now, and both are completely warranted. Like they're killing
that's
it.
also why I am not sure they are going on to The Last of Us Part 2 so fucking quickly.
Is he not in it?
Spoiler? No, but there's another reason why he will very soon after the season no longer be in it.
Great. You just spoiled the entire arc of the season for me.
Sorry. Fucking sorry. Oh no. Zombie movie, everyone dies anyway.
It's true. What was I about to say? Oh, and Adam Scott's having a moment, and he's
is
also
on you,
extremely
people at
deserving.
home. This is on you for not playing the game. This has all been out in the game already.
What do you mean that's on us for not playing the game? You don't have to play a
game's
game to
old
watch
by
a
now.
series.
The game's almost old enough for them to make a 3rd remake of the
Stop
game.
it.
Because that's all Naughty Dog does.
Don't get defensive because you just accidentally spoiled an entire show.
Yeah, I know.
But Adam, just to go back, I almost feel like protective of Adam Scott because I was such a big fan of his breakout role in Party Down, and I'm like, this guy is awesome. He's hilarious, and I've kind of followed him everywhere he's gone, and so like to see him like have a moment as the star in the biggest TV show in America right now, like it feels like my guy. Like I got a little proud papa in me. Like, oh, the guy that I've been with since the beginning. He's doing something.
Karen, not to knock you, Karen, but I will just say, like, one of the guys who I used to raid in Destiny with was in his 60s.
Chat's pretty upset that you
I know.
spoiled.
I didn't even say, I
Joe.
wasn't even trying to spoil. I'm just saying, yeah, he's not going to be in the show after season 2.
That is spoiling the show.
What else am I supposed to say? But like, I'm just saying, you're over
Not
here
say
praising
anything
it.
at all.
No, but you're over here praising the man, and like, yeah, it's okay.
Well, here's the thing. We'll throw this out there. Sometimes TV shows devolve from their source. I'm trying to give you an out, Chris. Just agree.
I have an out. Segment 2.
We should go to segment 2.
We're almost up against the Spartans game.
The actual spoiler is that Pedro Pascal changes universes, and he
Yeah, that's right.
becomes Mr. Fantastic.
Spider-Man.
He really is playing He's playing Reed Richards in the
that's
Fantastic
right.
Four movie.
I hear the Infinity Stone is making an appearance in Last of Us, and so he's back alive. Is that how the
what?
Infinity Stone works?
No, I heard that he's going to the Severed Floor.
All right. Are we going to talk corners, or are we just moving past corners? 'Cause I feel like
can I do it quickly? Can we do it
Yeah.
quickly?
Yeah.
Just very quickly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pride to Detroit PODcast. Before we get into superlatives, I do want to. We had a little bit of free agency still to talk, and that's just kind of some cornerback signings. Avonte Maddox, Khalil Dorsey re-signing with the Lions, and the addition of Rock Ya-Sin being added. One of the more fun names to say in the NFL. So those are additions to the cornerbacks. Is the cornerback room really improved much from last year, Jeremy?
I would say in terms of overall personnel, it's probably about even. Avonte Maddox is probably more reliable depth than Emmanuel Mosley at the nickel corner position. But
What makes you say that?
Because he's played games. But he also has a pretty extensive injury history. He got benched last year. But he's capable. And I mean, he got unseated by Cooper DeJean, who's obviously had a ridiculous rookie season. Rock Ya-Sin, I think, is actually a downgrade from Kindle Vildor, to be quite honest. I know people aren't going to like hearing that, but Rock Ya-Sin has played on 4 different teams in the past 4 years. Not thrilled about that signing, but at the same time, we're talking about CB6 maybe here, so hopefully we just don't see a lot of Rock Ya-Sin.
Oh, ouch. You're really down on Rock Ya-Sin.
I
don't.
I want to dive a little bit deeper into his film because I'm judging most of this on the fact that he's been on 5 different teams.
Yeah, I got some numbers.
Okay.
That I wanted to throw by you guys real quick. So like man coverage numbers prior to like 2023 he didn't really play a whole lot. 2022 he had a season with the Raiders that it was his first time being outside of Indianapolis, but like so 2023 he ranked 18th in PFF's man coverage grade among corners. In 2022 he was 39th in man coverage grade, 62.9. In 2021, his last year with the Colts, he ranked 5th in grade for man coverage, PFF, 79.4 man coverage grade for Rock Ya-Sin. There is the knee injury that happened at the end of his season with the Raiders in 2022 that it doesn't seem like he's been able to get over. Like Baltimore signed him as kind of like a reclamation project, and then it didn't quite work out because I don't think he was over the knee injury. And then I think that's what people were hopeful for in San Francisco was like, okay, well maybe like he's finally, back up to speed. It hasn't happened yet, so it does feel like a very Emmanuel Mosley kind of roll of the dice thing. Yeah. But like, even though he hasn't played defense as much in the past couple of years, he's still like a special teams contributor, like all 4 phases: kick return, punt return, coverage stuff. So it's like, it's a good balance, I think, of a guy who maybe if he does get that knee right, he could be called on in a pinch and you don't feel too bad about it. But at the very least, I think he's special teams depth. And I think he makes the roster for sure.
And he might be an upgrade on special teams versus Khalil Dorsey if you're making that 1-to-1 comparison.
Sure.
I'm not Khalil Dorsey. I'm sorry, Kindle Vildor.
Yes. Yeah. I know you meant.
All right. Let's move on to some superlatives. Ryan, are you running this or am I running this?
You run it, Chris.
Oh,
I think you can do it.
I don't know about that. I really don't.
We're about to find out.
I might spoil another TV show while we do it too. You never know.
What happens at the end of the Red Wedding?
Wouldn't know. Haven't watched it. I'm assuming something to do with the color red, though. Ooh, spoiler. Anyway, what would you guys say is the most surprising move so far from free agency? Either the most unexpected signing or really departure, in this whole party.
I'm going to make you go first, Ryan.
Oh, God. Everyone's trying to pass the buck today.
I'm going to say it's signing DJ Reed because I did not see that happening whatsoever. And I don't even think that I thought that was necessarily on the table after we learned how much money Carlton Davis was looking for. So I thought signing DJ Reed was kind of it was totally out of left field to me. Not that I didn't think the Lions had a need at that spot, but one, I thought it would have been Carlton Davis because he seemed like a shoe-in to return with the way that he talked about Dan Campbell and the way that Dan Campbell talked about him, and I just thought that Reed would have been too expensive. I thought he would have had like more suitors. I thought he was going to get like a bigger contract, but that's why I think that signing DJ Reed was the most surprising move as far as being unexpected.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Because I mean, we talked about it in our previous show. It was like, if you're going to make a splash in free agency at corner, it would make sense to just re-sign your own, because they did like Carlton Davis a lot, and they tried. It certainly sounds like, right. It just, the numbers weren't there. But I do like the pivot. It's a good pivot, and it is surprising that it came as cheap as it did, because it was, if you look at kind of the contract structure that's now out there, if let's say both players, Carlton Davis and DJ Reed, both get cut after 2 years of their respective 3-year deals, the Lions will have essentially paid $6 million less than they would have if they had signed Carlton Davis to the exact same deal. So that's something. That's not nothing. I think I have to say Levi Onwuzurike re-signing for a 1-year, $4 million deal.
That was going to be my other answer, just because of what we thought it was going to be.
myself, yeah.
I mean, again, another thing we talked about for months was just like, we have no idea how much he is going to command in free agency with the ballooning of the defensive tackle market, but our low end of our guesstimates were like 7-8 million. 4 million is insane. And I want to pat the Lions on the back a little bit, but also like, it didn't happen right away, which tells me he tested the market, and and didn't find anything. So it feels like the Lions lucked into it at least a little bit, but Levi also said, and you can believe him or not, that he wanted to come back. Like he felt there was unfinished business, kind of hit all those notes that a lot of the re-signs have said. So getting him back on a 1-year, $4 million deal that can be up to $5.5 million if he hits some of his incentives, to me was surprise. Like maybe the biggest surprise, definitely the most pleasant surprise of free agency for me.
All right. Ryan, best value signing, providing the most upside for the cost. I feel like Levi Onwuzurike might be another easy answer here.
He is, but I thought it was too easy of an answer. So I said Marcus Davenport, because in the grand scheme of things, I know the Lions love the type of player that he is. I know they covet what he can do as a pocket crusher, and you saw it in the game and a half that he played. But that again remains the biggest problem with Davenport, right? Is staying healthy and staying on the field. But if he is healthy and he can be part of the solution opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, at a $1.75 million cap hit, like he could be a really valuable piece to the rotation, Jeremy. And then this is the other thing. This kind of feels like Marcus Davenport's last shot.
Yeah.
This truly feels like his last opportunity at having an NFL career, or at least a profitable one, I guess. So like, if you're going to do it, you're in a great situation. Where else would you rather be other than playing opposite of Aiden Hutchinson? So there's an awful lot of incentive there, Jeremy, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was doing actually a little bit of digging for Pride Detroit Direct on Marcus Davenport, and I was a little bit surprised to see, granted this is an extremely low sample size, we're talking about a game and a half essentially of Marcus Davenport last year, but I was surprised about how good his stats were. He had a 14.3 pass rush win rate according to PFF, which was 30th among edge defenders through 3 weeks.
He had a bunch of pressures in that first game against the Rams.
I think he had 6. He had 6 in that game and then 1 in another. So 7 pressures in 1.5 a game is pretty good. 4 quarterback hits in 1.5 a game is pretty good. It's just a matter of can he keep that pace going for a full season and stay healthy? And we haven't really seen that happen since 2019. That's the last time he's really had a full season on his hands. And he had 50 pressures that year, and he has a 9-sack season on a like 11 game basis. So like the production can be there. It's like it literally is just staying healthy. And the positive swing for this year is it isn't a knee injury, right? It isn't something that'll affect his mobility. It's arms. He's been able to stay in shape. And so it's just a matter of keeping everything healthy when he's out there. I don't think there's any danger of him like losing a step once he gets out there this year.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like, oh man, Marcus Davenport could play 17 games and have 70 pressures and 10. Like if Marcus Davenport plays 11 games, 1.75 million, sign me up. I'm cool.
Right.
I'm cool with that.
My value deal is Tim Patrick. His contract details got dropped over the weekend or near the weekend. 1 year, $2.5 million, fully guaranteed, but he's basically getting paid his base salary of 1.25, and he's getting a 1.25 signing bonus. I mean, that's, you're getting a starting level wide receiver for less than $3 million. It's wild. That's a premier position. I know he's not a guy that's getting 70 targets a year, 70 catches a year, but he's an integral part to the offense. We saw the line struggle to find this wide receiver X for 2, 3, 4 straight off seasons. To be able to get a guy that they can trust, who likes being here, wears shirts about how much he wants to play only in Detroit, and how much he puts out there on the field in terms of effort, in terms of what they want, in terms of run blocking, all that sort of stuff. That's a huge bargain, and it's always good to have veteran players that want to be here, that produce, and get them at a very, very reasonable cost. We're talking about wide receiver 3 numbers at the bottom of the list of wide receiver 3 numbers.
All right. Most questionable move.
And this is the transaction that kind of raises the most concerns, but I don't think it's because of the player they signed. I think it's because of what this means for the player behind them, or the player also in their same room. I cheated. I said 2 players. I said Roy Lopez and Kyle Allen, because what does that mean for the 3rd round draft picks in the 2023 NFL draft? Like, both of those signings are very and I would say one more so than the other. I think Roy Lopez, for what they paid Roy Lopez, they very much view him as the guy who will split snaps with DJ Reader. And I think it's a great signing. We'll get to Roy Lopez a little bit more later on. But the Kyle Allen one doesn't really move the needle a ton, but it's is this Brad Holmes just getting out ahead of things and doing this now and taking care of it rather than, sliding in to home, whatever. Is that it, Jeremy? I think people are maybe reading a little bit too much into oh man, they can't trust Hendon Hooker at all whatsoever. But I will say that having those be priority things done this early in the off season, I don't think it bodes well.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because, again, those contract details came out, and the only guarantee is a $100,000 signing bonus, and we've seen undrafted free agents get bigger signing bonuses than that. The contract tells me Hendon Hooker is the leader out of the clubhouse here, and the heavy leader. But it was interesting at the time, right? It was it's interesting to, like you said, get that done this early in free agency. You're not waiting to pick up the scraps on the bottom of the barrel. You're getting that done in the first week, which is notable. But I think it's just hey, that's a guy who's been around for a long time that we think is pretty smart. But that's just a good thing to have in our room. I don't think he's true competition.
Yeah. It would be a bigger indictment if the Lions went out and drafted a quarterback on Hendon Hooker. Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Sorry, go on. No, I had my own questionable one.
Go for it.
I mean, I'm struggling around this because on one hand, I know some of the reasons why they probably did it as far as saving themselves some money. But given the state of the defensive line right now and the questions we keep seeming to harp on repeatedly, I really do have to wonder about the willingness to just cut Zadarius Smith at the time they did without even trying to restructure the contract or negotiate something else, or not even with a replacement seemingly on the radar in mind besides Marcus Davenport, which there's plenty of reasons why, if you're a Lions fan, you've got doubts that Marcus Davenport can make it 17 games this year. So I do feel the most questionable move I have here is that again, this isn't even you hit free agency and it's you're going out there to make a signing and then you cut Zadarius. So you cut him before free agency started.
Well, I think in general, like the timing of it makes sense because you want to give him an opportunity to talk to other teams.
Sure, and he hasn't signed with any other team.
He hasn't.
So,
and no, I'm with you because I think a lot of people looked at that and were like, oh, okay, well, if you're going to do that, you're going to spend that $11 million that you're saving over the next 2 years on an edge defender. You're going to spend that money somewhere. You're going to do something with that money. And they didn't. And that, and yeah, to kind of say like, we'll just swap out Zadarius Smith for Marcus Davenport and spend, $9 million less. That seems like a tenuous plan. That seems like a scary plan. And I think a lot of us were a little bit excited about like, hey, it's Zadarius Smith and Aiden Hutchinson. What's that going to look like? That should be fun.
That
and
felt,
we
that
never
felt
get
tolerable. And like you, I thought that like that 11 million, whatever, like over the years, like you'd go out and sign someone else to it. And again, we didn't need a top name of the line. I'm not asking for Trey Hendrickson, but like the fact they've really not gotten anyone who could even be starting caliber is kind of concerning. And we've already talked about problems with the interior defensive line.
Yeah.
Like it feels like another stress and another need that was kind of self-inflicted that really didn't need to be.
Yeah, Marcus Davenport is starting caliber. It's just the reliability, right? Like that is the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I mean, with Zadarius, like 11 million was a lot of money. Probably too much. Probably not exactly what he's worth necessarily. Especially when you see, what did Joey Bosa get? I know Joey Bosa has his own injury problems, but I feel like he got somewhere in that range. 1 year, 12.6 million. So
yeah,
essentially that range. I don't think Zadarius Smith quite hits that level of productivity. Maybe the Lions approached him about taking a pay cut. But as we've noted several times, he's a pretty proud guy when it comes to his money and doesn't typically enjoy those kind of conversations. So a lot of people keep asking if they think there's a chance Smith re-signs with the Lions, and I'm a never say never guy, so I'm not going to stand up here and say there's no shot. But typically when there's mutual interest in doing something like that, you let the player know when you cut him. And so you would prevent, I don't know, Zadarius Smith going on Instagram and saying, "Thank you, Detroit, goodbye," which he did. And you probably would have re-signed him by now. So I have high doubts that he's coming back. And so there remains a very fair question of what the Lions are going to do with that money, what they're going to do with that position. And I don't think they've done enough.
All right. Best under the radar edition.
you want to go ahead, Jeremy?
It's hard because they've made so few additions that how can one of 7 additions be under the radar? You can name all 7 of them. But I guess I would say, God, I don't know. I guess I would say Avonte Maddox. Just because you have a guy who can play nickel, which means you have a little bit more versatility with what you can do with the rest of your nickel outside guys. So if you want Amik to be your primary outside cornerback depth, you can have him rep there all offseason. If you want Ennis to do that, I don't know which one of those guys is going to win the nickel job. I don't know which one the Lions want to win the nickel job, but suddenly I think you have a little bit more versatility. And some people have pointed it out. Maddox has played a wee bit of safety early in his career, and I think he did it a little bit towards the end of last season with the Eagles. And so, like, part of me is like, is he maybe more of an Iffy replacement than an Emmanuel Mosley replacement at this point in his career? I don't think he has the exact skill sets that Iffy does, but I think there's maybe a little bit more behind the Avonte Maddox signing than it looks.
And definitely different body types.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
He's not quite as tall or long.
Yeah. I mean, again, the Lions cornering the market on undersized cornerbacks. Avonte Maddox, 5'9". Yeah, no, it's interesting to think of it that way. I don't hate it. Like, I feel much better about the Lions cornerback room, though, just because of kind of the expectations that come from that jump from year 1 to year 2. So, like, you take a look at the room, you take stock of the room. If you want to say that DJ Reed and Carlton Davis is a wash, and then you want to talk about everything else. It's like, I just think that the room's better because Ennis is in year 2 and Tyrion is in year 2. And
Yeah.
I think that they're just in a better spot. I don't feel the same way about defensive end though. So my under the radar, it wasn't really under the radar because like you said, Jeremy, but like I think Roy Lopez constitutes as like a guy who would be like a guy who would fly under the radar just because it's a nose tackle, right? And it's a guy who maybe he won't play a ton. But I truly do think that DJ Reader, our favorite, hey, he's not going to be spending the whole offseason rehabbing. He's going to spend it training, and hopefully his body's right. And you get those two guys. And the feedback I got about Roy Lopez from the Revenge of the Birds managing editor, Seth Cox, when I did 5 questions with him, he was like, he's great when he's on a pitch count. Like anything north of him playing like 45% of snaps, like that's not good. Like him right around like the 35-ish range is great. It's like awesome. Well, the Lions have a guy who can kind of handle the rest of it. And also they re-signed Levi Onwuzurike. Like he could moonlight there in the interior every once in a while, especially in pass rushing situations. So I think that I feel pretty darn good about the interior of the Lions defensive line, provided that, Ali McNeil is ready to go not too long after the start of the season.
I feel like Lions fans are just like obsessed with pass rush and think that's all that defense is.
Right. And you wouldn't be super impressed with Roy Lopez's numbers, right?
Right. And he's a nose tackle. He's going to defend the run. That's what he's coming to Detroit to do. But that's important. That's a staple of like how the Lions defense has started to turn itself around from their first couple of years under Aaron Glenn is they've become a top 10 run defense team in the past really 2.5 seasons. And when you do that, you get the offense into unfavorable downs. And then that's when your pass rush comes in. That's when you crank up the knob of your blitzes and you create all the turnovers that the Lions were able to create through the first half of the season. And so while I don't know if I love spending $3.5 million on a backup nose tackle, a second string nose tackle, I get it. And I do like keeping the Lions' strength of strength, which is the run defense. And they're going to need that run defense to continue to be great as they face an improved Bears offensive line, as you face a Vikings offense that now has a couple more weapons in the backfield. You face a Packers team that likes to run the ball. And so, run defense is important. I know we all love pass rush, but run defense is important. So I get why they made this move.
All right, we'll go pretty quick on these ones because I know we are up against the clock here. Biggest loss in free agency.
Kevin Zeitler.
Yeah, that's pretty tough, considering that, like, if nothing else, you lose the depth that Mahogany afforded you, at least going into this draft, by being like, hey, yeah, great, now you're going to have to, hopefully that's good enough for you to play a starting position right now, barring picking up a guard in the first day of the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the idea of bringing Zeitler back, having Mahogany and Graham fight out for left guard position, and then whoever loses that battle just becomes a really valuable depth guy.
And that was always tough too, because I feel like Graham is, as we say, short term for the Lions. Like both Graham and Zeitler were short term for the Lions. You just was hoping that short term would last a little bit longer than this year.
Yep. You would have had the flexibility to not necessarily. I mean, they still don't have to draft a guard this year, and if they just want to run Glasgow and Mahogany this year, that's fine. I just feel less confidence in the depth. I feel like you're putting a lot on Mahogany's shoulders, and I understand he played really well in the limited amount of time that he did, but that's
still not a full season.
It's not. It's not even a half season. It's barely anything. And I understand his college tape was good. A lot of people were thinking he was a starting capable player when he entered the draft, and the Lions got a steal in the 6th round. But it's still, I mean, you're still putting a lot. He has to, if the Lions offensive line is going to tread water from where it was last year, he has to be as good as Kevin Zeitler was last year. And that's probably not going to happen.
But also, again, you talk about the depth. It's not just Graham Glasgow who's had a couple injuries. It's Frank Ragnow. Right. Suddenly you're going to have to get Graham to center, and then who's the guard then?
Yep.
Same problem. Is it Zeitler for you as well, Ryan?
He was the one that said it.
I said Zeitler.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I stole his answer too. Yes, I think
Okay,
it's. I think
making
it's.
sure.
I mean, they've barely lost anyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to make the argument for Carlton Davis, but they replaced that need, right? And I feel like we would maybe feel differently about Kevin Zeitler had the Lions replace Kevin Zeitler in free agency.
Right. Yeah, the only guy that they lost and haven't really replaced is the Fatu Melifonwu. And
Zadarius Smith too, but
true. But
again, because I don't consider Marcus Davenport the Z Smith replacement just yet.
Yeah, fair.
The signing that got away.
I don't think it. I don't
really wanted.
I don't think it ever truly got away because I guess he was just going to stay in LA. But like, I really would have liked the Lions to sign Khalil Mack.
Yeah,
I'd have been totally on board with that.
Cool.
And it does feel like it puts the Lions in a position where like defensive end has to be a high priority in the draft in a way that I haven't felt about a position in at least a couple drafts. Like, I didn't feel that way last year. I didn't feel like the Lions had to draft a specific position. In 2023, I mean, yeah, like a cornerback would have made a lot of sense, but they also hit cornerback pretty hard before. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. Like, they're just in a position, Jeremy, where I think because they haven't gotten somebody, to Chris's point, right, somebody reliable that they could count on to play opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. I thought Khalil Mack presented an opportunity that would fit the Lions' timeline and leave them more options available in the draft.
Von Miller's still out there. They still got some guys.
Yeah.
I know not everything is going to be a great look off of that pile. I would have liked the Lions to maybe... I was kind of a little shocked at how many guys were leaving the Eagles in free agency, and I would have liked maybe to poke that pile. And there's a couple guys in the interior, that defensive line, that maybe you took a look at.
Not throwing a bajillion dollars at Milton Williams, are you?
Oh, no, not that one. No. I mean, granted, that's I guess where I think a lot of my argument kind of goes out the window, because that market would be so quick. I can't even make an argument for Sweat, because Sweat got something like $15 million.
Right.
And
that's the trick to free agency, right? Like, you can't complain about what the Lions didn't do unless you can point to a specific deal and say that's a deal that the Lions should have made. My answer is one of those, and it's Anthony Nelson, and he was a guy I was kind of pushing earlier, so it's probably no surprise that I'm still pushing it. He was kind of rotational edge for the Bucs. I thought maybe the fact that Casey Rogers was here would help recruit him to Detroit. He's saying a 2-year, $10 million deal back with Tampa. So maybe there was never a real threat of him ever leaving, but he fits kind of that 270-ish pound defensive end who's going to be good at crushing the can, who's going to set the edge in the run game pretty well. I don't know if he would have been the starter, but like, to have that competition with Marcus Davenport, to have a guy that has been on the field more often, so that when and if Marcus Davenport goes down, there's a body other than Josh Paschal there to help you. I would have paid $5 million for that competition, for that insurance plan. But it appears the Lions were not willing to do so. And like, you look at his deal, it's also extremely well. Like, there's a couple of void years, so he's only a $2 million cap hit this year, $5.3 million next year, and then another $3-ish million in a void year. I feel like the Lions could have done that, and I kind of wish they had.
All right, last one. Signing that completes the puzzle. Which move best fills a key roster need?
Tim Patrick. That was really one of the ones that I was trying to have a different name for everything.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It definitely doesn't make wide receiver like a high priority in the draft.
Right.
Or as high of a priority as maybe it would have been had you not gotten a guy like Tim Patrick.
Yeah. I almost want to say Grant Stewart, but that's kind of like the last piece of the puzzle. It's almost like you finish the puzzle and there's still 3 more pieces left. And you're just like, where did they
go?
What do I do with these extra pieces?
Well, yeah. Are these backup pieces in case I lose these exact pieces?
Right. I mean, the amount of linebackers in that room is ridiculous. The amount of guys who can play special teams in that linebacker room is also ridiculous. But as I keep saying, I can't make fun of it. I can't criticize them for it, because that's exactly what we were saying at this point last year, and they ran out of linebackers last year.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. And you know what? Maybe it's the puzzle. It's the special teams puzzle. That's what Grant Stewart did.
And listen, he's 26, and he's already established as a really, really good special teamer. There might be some defensive play still meat on the bone, right? He got his first kind of significant action last year, dipped his foot in there, and so maybe this is like hey, we're preparing to say goodbye to Malcolm Rodriguez. Let's see if Grant Stewart can play in our defense, and if he can be next year the primary reserve and a special teamer.
Great. We already have that guy in house, and we don't have to find him in the 5th, 6th round of the draft.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. I got through your superlatives, Ryan. That's the entire list.
Thank you, Chris.
Just in time for you to get out of here and watch the Spartans.
By the time you're listening to the Spartan fans, my condolences.
God.
Did you just spoil the Spartans season?
Oh, shoot, I did.
Jeremy?
Oh, my
You
God.
and Chris.
Ah!
Spoiling stuff. Take some responsibility.
All right. We have mailbag coming up this week.
Nope. Pride Detroit direct
Oh, that's
exclusive
right. End of the
mailbag.
week. End of the month. God.
And
We
another
only did one for this month.
I'm going to sweeten the pot for Pride of Detroit Direct, because First Bite is coming back this week. We are going to start doing First Bite for the Lions free agent editions. We're going to talk with writers and analysts of teams where that these players used to be on, and so you're going to get 3 Pride of Detroit Direct newsletters this week. You're going to get the normal column by me, Monday-ish. You're going to get midweek mailbag with me and Eric, and then you're going to get First Bite with myself, Ryan, and a guest. So if you want that extra content in your life, go to pridedetroit.com/subscribe.
And on the feed itself, there will be scraps out. We try to do a little bit more targeted scraps, and unfortunately, during the course of those targeted scraps, we might have pissed off a bunch of people. I might have pissed off a bunch of people. I don't know if it'll actually make the scraps, that part that pissed off people.
If you guys know of any Jets writers, send them to our P.O. box.
Also true.
Any other further announcements?
I'll be down in Florida for the owners' meetings next week, so next Sunday I'll have a different background behind me.
Palm trees?
Maybe.
Clear skies and palm trees. Well, until then, I'm Chris Perfett, Jeremy Reisman, Ryan Matthews. This has been the Pride of Detroit PODcast. We'll see you Starside.
Recording stopped.
All right. I am suddenly getting exhausted, so this is perfect. And I think the Sparty has not tipped off just yet, but they will be soon.
Perfect.
Cool. Perfect.
I think there's,
Downgrade, thank you for the 10 months as All Hail King Holmes. Go Lions. J Rago, 8 months subscribed. Appreciate that. Jake Van Nuren, thank you for the sub over on YouTube. And I think that's all the alerts. So should we just get out of here? I think maybe we should just get out of here.
I think so.
Hell yeah.
All right, y'all. I was going to see if anyone's
Enjoy
live.
basketball.
Is Bridget live by any chance?
Isn't it like 4 p.m.? It is 6 p.m. Sports Turf Pro. I've also been up since 5 a.m. For the past 4 days, and then 2 days before that, I had to be up at 3 a.m. No, I'm sorry, 2 a.m. on Tuesday and Wednesday. So my brain has completely East Coast pilled. And before that, it was being Japan time pilled. I still do a boxing workout.
She's not on. CJ Gardner-Johnson is on, but I'm not going to rate him with a bunch of Lions fans who probably hate him right now. So,
oh gosh,
what team did he get traded to? Titans, Browns, some AFC team, right? Whatever.
He is with the Texans.
All right. Enjoy the game, everybody. We won't be live until next week, I think. So enjoy it.
It'll be a Tiki Tuesday for me.
That's right.
I think.
Twitch.tv/NoDecap.
I'm gonna try.
NODE.
I have to be up super early on Wednesday, but you know, and I'm trying to do this workout and not drink a ton of rum, but